In Los Angeles, around 3:30 a.m., a high-security truck stopped outside a donut shop, and two guards went inside. A car and an SUV blocked the truck's path, and several masked, armored thugs with powerful guns emerged. As the guards came out, the thugs aimed their weapons at them. The truck driver immediately alerted the LAPD that they were surrounded by armed men. One guard tried to draw his weapon, but was shot by a thug, who then killed the truck driver. The thugs opened the truck door and pulled out another guard. By this time, the police arrived and a shootout began. The police's standard guns were no match for the thugs' assault rifles. 4 police officers and 1 thug were killed in the exchange before the thugs fled with the truck to a warehouse. Ray, the gang leader, reprimanded Bosco for shooting the security guard. Ray told the rest of the gang they needed to fix the damaged truck. When Ray opened the truck door, Ensign asked if he was okay. Ray responded that they had killed 4 police officers and the police would be hunting them down like dogs. Also, Detective Nick O'Brien arrived at the scene and approached the officers from the sheriff's department who were standing near the dead thug. The police were confused as to why the thugs had taken an empty truck. Nick suggested there was a plan behind it. Bosco, from across the street, was taking pictures of the meeting. He later showed Ray the photos, pointing out Nick as the officer in charge of the incident. Ray informed his crew that Nick was the head of the Major Crimes Division. Donnie, who drove the truck the previous night, left after seeing Nick's picture. Nick and his fellow officers investigated the case, concluding that it was an inside job, as the criminals wouldn't otherwise know the truck's schedule. They suspected Ray was involved, as he had been released on parole 8 months prior. Donnie worked as a barman at night. He noticed a Federal Reserve Bank employee had left their ID at the bar. Donnie put the ID in the cash register and went to Mac, a member of Ray's gang. Nick, also at the bar, questioned Donnie, who stated he didn't know who frequented the bar, as it was open to everyone from criminals to police. When Donnie's shift ended and he was leaving, Nick knocked on his car window and then knocked him out. Donnie woke up in an unfamiliar place. He went to the living room and found Nick's team and 4 women. Nick showed Donnie a CCTV photo of him meeting Ray. Detective Gus told Donnie they knew everything about him, including a past arrest for grand theft auto, attempted murder charges, and the fastest speeding ticket in California history. Gus warned him that one mistake could send him back to jail for years. Donnie tried to explain that he had only met Ray once or twice and knew nothing else. Nick showed Donnie a tattoo on his arm that said regulators and explained it was the name of a police clique that didn't believe in rules or second chances for criminals, opting to shoot them instead. Nick then directly asked Donnie why a coward like him was with such a dangerous gang. Donnie claimed he was just their driver and knew nothing about their operations. Nick told Donnie to stay in contact with the gang and to answer his calls, or else he would pick him up. Meanwhile, Ray's gang was watching the Federal Reserve Bank in Los Angeles. Ray stated it was the only bank that had never been successfully robbed, with 53 failed attempts due to its impressive security system. That's why Ray wanted to rob it. In the police department, officers learned that Ray, Ensign, Donnie, and Bosco were all retired Marine commandos. Officers reviewed all robberies from the past decade and found no major heists occurred while Ray was in jail for 10 years. Nick told the officers that catching Ray would solve all the unsolved robberies. Ray and his gang returned to the warehouse, where Ray explained the federal bank's daily routine. He said the bank regularly removes old or torn bills from its database, shredding them between 4 and 5 p.m., and a waste management company collects the debris. He also mentioned that the $100 bill counting room alone receives at least $30 million daily. Ray's plan was to get there before the bills were shredded, securing at least $30 million that technically belonged to no one, so they wouldn't be stealing from a person. Donnie started working for a Chinese food delivery company that served the bank employees daily. He entered the bank with 2 bags of food, and security gave him a card to enter. Donnie delivered 1 bag to the cafeteria, but took the second bag into the washroom and hid it in an overhead vent. Later that night, while Ray and his crew were eating at a restaurant, the police suddenly arrived. Nick approached Ray's table and spoke to Donnie, pretending they had met at the gym. Back at the warehouse, Ray suspected Donnie might be a cop. Donnie denied it, but Ray, holding a gun, pressed him again about how he knew Nick. Donnie confessed that Nick had caught him and knew everything about the gang. After that, Donnie never saw Nick again. Ray trusted him and told Donnie to relay a message to Nick. The robbery would happen this Friday. Donnie met Nick at a suit shop, and when Nick asked what they were doing at the restaurant, Donnie changed the subject and told him the robbery was on Friday, but he didn't know where. Nick then went to a club where Ray's girlfriend worked and watched her performance. She came off stage, whispered something in Nick's ear, and they ended up at her place. The next morning when Ray arrived, his girlfriend ran from the living room and Nick emerged shirtless. They glared at each other, both noticing a gun on the table. Nick motioned for Ray to pick up the gun, but Ray didn't fall for it. Instead, he walked past Nick, went into the bedroom, and closed the door. Nick then got in his car and called his partner, giving him the next robbery location, which he learned from Ray's girlfriend. Later, Ray's girlfriend told him she had done as he asked. On the day of the robbery, police were staking out the bank. A van pulled into the parking lot, and Ray's gang, in bulletproof vests, masks, and assault rifles, emerged. They immediately shot the security cameras upon entering the bank and ordered everyone to sit down. The gang took everyone's phones, tied their hands, and put bags over their heads. Ray told the bank manager to call the police and demand $30 million in ransom delivered in a helicopter with a full tank of fuel. He threatened to shoot a hostage every hour if their demands weren't met, and to kill everyone if any police tried to enter. Soon, the police and FBI arrived outside the bank. A phone rang inside, and Ray answered, directly asking if they would get what they demanded. The police officer said they were working on it. Ray retorted that by calling without the money, they had caused a death. Bosco then took a man to the back, and a gunshot was heard. The officer called again, and this time the manager answered. The manager stated that one person had already been killed, and more would die with every call. He advised them to only call back when they had the money the thieves demanded. The officer asked if they could wait 90 minutes, and Ray agreed. A message conveyed by the manager. Outside, the police were studying a map of the bank. An explosion was heard from inside, and the police realized the thieves had broken into the vault. Nick, looking at the map, asked Tony what a particular symbol meant, and Tony explained it was a now-closed sewage line. Nick then noticed an entry point to the sewer and started thinking. He decided they needed to go inside, so he grabbed an iron rod and began to open the bank's main door. Inside, Nick asked the hostages if they were okay. No thieves were present. Nick and his team then went to the back of the bank where the hostage had supposedly been killed, but it was all an act, and the girl was alive. They soon found a hole leading to the sewage line, indicating the thieves had escaped that way. Nick followed them into the sewer hole. Mac, posing as an officer from Almed Security Company, called the bank, stating their truck was 2 minutes away and asking them to open the gate. Ray and Ensign, dressed in Almed Guard uniforms, arrived in the stolen truck to pick up the delivery. They had repainted and slightly altered the truck to make it look identical to the original. They stopped the truck at the bank's security gate and showed their IDs to the Federal Reserve Bank officer on duty. The IDs looked authentic, and they had been informed by phone that the truck was coming, so the guard let them in without much suspicion. They removed 2 boxes full of cash from the back of the truck and took them to the money counting floor. The money counters put these tubs into the $100 bill counting room, while Ray and Ensign went to the waiting room. Bosco was in the tunnel beneath the bank. Ray radioed him, telling him Donnie had reached the counting room. Bosco hit a switch in the power grid, dimming the entire bank's electricity. This not only shut down the bank's money shredding machine, but also the cameras and motion sensors in the $100 bill counting room. A police guard told the counters they would have to shut down the system for a while and should take a break. As the counters and police left the counting area, Ray radioed Donnie, telling him the coast was clear to do his work. Donnie was hiding inside a box surrounded by stacks of $100 bills. He emerged from the box, and some stacks fell out, which he put back inside. A woman who regularly ordered Chinese food from the bank called the restaurant, and Mac answered the phone. She complained that her order from an hour ago still hadn't arrived. Mac, speaking with a Chinese accent, said the food was on its way. Inside the bank, police and security guards noticed the cameras and motion sensors weren't working. They told another guard to quickly count all the boxes to avoid any problems. A security guard called the counters to the cafeteria. Donnie was hiding under a table in the counting room. He was putting the $100 bills, which were about to be shredded, into black zipper bags. He then threw the bags into a trash can. The security guard returned to the counting room with 2 counters. Ray signaled Donnie to escape. Donnie removed an air vent cover, entered it, and closed it from the inside. Donnie radioed Ray from the vent, and Ray signaled Bosco to turn the lights back on. As the lights came back on, everyone resumed their work. Donnie moved through the vents, removed the bathroom's ventilator shaft, retrieved the food he had hidden there earlier, and used the access card left by the bank employee at the bar to navigate the building. Donnie delivered the food to the woman and then left the building. Meanwhile, some of Donnie's friends were picking up trash from the bank. They were sent in 2 separate trucks from the same company, which was all part of the plan. They stopped at an intersection and nodded to each other. On the other side, Ray and Ensign left the bank in their security truck. Bosco was following a trash truck and radioed his location to Ray. Ray soon caught up to the trash truck and stopped it from the front. Bosco stopped it from behind. Bosco ran to the driver, pointed a gun at him, and told him to get out. Bosco then got in the truck and drove off, with the rest of the gang following. Nick was searching the city for Ray and his gang. He spotted Donnie on the road and stopped his car. Mac from a distance saw the police put Donnie in their truck. Nick and his colleagues beat Donnie, demanding to know where Ray and the others were. Donnie eventually gave up and told them the location. Ray and his gang were at the dump site. Mac called Ray to tell him Donnie had been caught, but Ray didn't answer, and hung up. He told Ensign that Donnie and Mac were caught, and then they both drove away. Nick caught a glimpse of Ray's car and chased him onto a busy highway. He radioed detectives Murphy and Baracho with their location. Ray looked in his rearview mirror and saw Nick's car 20 cars behind them. Gus handcuffed Donnie to the car and then left with Nick and Tony. Murphy and Baracho also arrived. Ray, Ensign, and Bosco started to get out of their truck. As the police approached, Ray began firing, hitting and killing one officer instantly. The police returned fire, breaking the silence with a barrage of bullets. Shots ripped through cars from both sides. Bosco was shot in the neck, and Ray retaliated by shooting that officer in the knee. Ray and Ensign ran down the street with Nick in pursuit. A police officer with Nick made a good shot, taking down Ensign. Ray ran into an alley with Nick right behind him. Nick shot Ray, severely wounding him. Ray struggled to reload his gun, eventually managing to do so and standing on his feet. He advanced towards Nick, firing his gun. Nick reloaded and shot Ray in the chest. Ray fell, crawling behind a car, and pulled out a loaded magazine from his jacket. His bullets were gone, but he still stood and aimed his empty gun at Nick. Nick shot Ray in self-defense, unaware that Ray had no more bullets. When Nick returned to his car, Donnie had fled. Nick and Gus retrieved black bags from Ray's car, finding them filled with shredded money, not whole bills. Nick went to the bar where Donnie worked and asked for his address. The owner said Donnie had quit 2 days prior. While sitting at the bar, Nick saw 2 bank employees with their access cards around their necks. He looked closely at a football team photo on the wall, which showed Donnie with some friends. As Nick left the bar, he saw the bank and realized Donnie was the mastermind behind the entire scheme. In the end, Donnie was seen working as a barman in London. His friends who had been involved in the scheme disguised as garbage collectors were with him. Donnie had planned to betray Ray and his gang from the start. That's why his friends were driving 2 identical garbage trucks, one with shredded money and the other with real $100 bills, totaling $30 million. It was revealed that Donnie had taken the money from the bags, put it into tires, and sent it to Panama. He was now in London, planning another robbery. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.